the silence. It speaks volumes, doesn't it? A quiet hum beneath the surface of your days, a feeling that settles in the chest, a persistent whisper that tells you something is not quite right. You navigate your world with a certain gentleness, a carefulness, a way of being that has been praised, perhaps even expected. You were the good one, the easy one, the one who didn't make waves. But beneath that placid surface, a current stirs, a yearning, a question that echoes in the stillness of your own thoughts. Why does it feel as though the world moves around you, rather than with you? Why does it feel as though your own desires, your own needs, are somehow less important? You are taught to be kind, to consider the feelings of others always, to smooth the edges, to soften the impact of your presence. And this was presented as virtue. This was the path to acceptance, to belonging. And you, with a tender heart, you embraced it. You learned the subtle art of self-effacement, the quiet dance of making yourself smaller, so that others might feel larger. But what happens when that carefully constructed gentleness becomes a cage? What happens when the very qualities that were meant to bring you closer to others, instead, create a distance between you and your own power? Think back to the moments your voice caught in your throat, the words unsaid, the boundaries uncrossed. Remember the times you nodded in agreement, even when your inner landscape screamed in protest. Feel again the familiar ache of prioritizing someone else's comfort over your own truth. These were not acts of malice. These were learned behaviors, ingrained responses to a world that often rewards compliance and subtly discourages the raw, untamed parts of ourselves. You learned that your strength might be perceived as aggression, your assertiveness as rudeness, your very being, if not carefully managed, might offend. And so you cultivated a careful garden within yourself, pruning away anything that felt too sharp, too loud, too dangerous. But a garden without its wildness, its thorns, its untamed beauty, can it truly thrive? The feeling of powerlessness, it is not a void. It is a space filled with the ghosts of your own unexpressed self, the anger that was swallowed down, the desires that were deemed selfish, the boundaries that were never drawn. They linger there, these unspoken truths, creating a weight that you carry, often without even realizing its origin. The world, you see, operates on a different set of rules. While your inner landscape was being carefully cultivated for peace and harmony, the external world often responds to force, to clarity, to an unwavering sense of self. And when you encounter this world, with only your learned gentleness as a shield, it can feel overwhelming. It can feel as though you are constantly yielding, constantly giving way, constantly feeling the subtle sting of being overlooked. This is not a condemnation of kindness. Kindness, in its truest form, is a powerful force. But kindness without boundaries, without the underlying knowledge of your own strength, can become a form of self-abandonment. It can become a quiet agreement to let others dictate the terms of your existence. The danger, then, is not in wielding a weapon against others. The true danger lies in being unarmed yourself, in navigating a world that understands strength, with only a carefully constructed facade of agreeability. This feeling of being adrift, of being at the mercy of external forces, it is not your inherent state. It is the consequence of a lesson never learned, the lesson of how to be dangerous. Not in a harmful way, but in a way that reclaims your agency, that honors your truth, that allows you to move through the world with a quiet, unshakable sense of your own power. This is not about becoming someone you are not. It is about remembering the parts of yourself that you were told to suppress. It is about recognizing the inherent strength that lies dormant within you, waiting for permission to awaken. It is about understanding that true power is not about domination, but about the unwavering knowledge of your own worth and the unyielding commitment to your own boundaries. Let that sink in. The power you seek is not something to be found outside of yourself. It is a force that resides within, waiting to be unleashed from the constraints of learned niceness and the fear of your own strength. The world whispers to you constantly, doesn't it? Subtle cues, unspoken expectations, a pervasive undercurrent that suggests your value lies in your ability to accommodate, to soothe, to blend in. You became adept at reading these cues, at anticipating the needs and desires of others, often before they were even voiced. This was your superpower, your way of navigating social landscapes, of ensuring your place within the tribe. But what of your own whispers? The quiet urgings of your own soul, the insistent tug of your own desires. Were they given the same space, the same consideration? Or were they gently, or perhaps not so gently, hushed in favor of maintaining the external harmony? Think of the energy it takes to constantly monitor yourself, to filter your thoughts and feelings before they reach the light of day. It is an exhausting endeavor, a subtle drain on your vitality. It creates a sense of living behind a carefully constructed mask, a feeling that the real you, the unfiltered you, is somehow unacceptable. And in this constant act of self-monitoring, something precious is lost. Your spontaneity, your gut instinct, your innate ability to respond authentically to the world around you. You become hesitant, second-guessing your impulses, always seeking external validation before you dare to act. The danger you were warned against, the danger of being too much, too loud, too opinionated, it cast a long shadow. It taught you to fear your own power, to equate strength with negativity. And so you chose the safer path, the path of least resistance, the path that promised approval, even if it came at the cost of your own self-respect. But approval bought at the price of your own authenticity is a hollow currency. It leaves you feeling like an imposter in your own life, constantly wondering when the mask will slip, when the real you will be discovered, and perhaps rejected. The feeling of powerlessness is often intertwined with a deep-seated fear of conflict. You learned that conflict is to be avoided at all costs, that it signifies failure, a breakdown in the carefully constructed harmony. And so you became a master of avoidance, of deflection, of saying anything but what truly needed to be said. But unresolved conflict does not simply vanish. It festers. It accumulates. It becomes a knot of tension within you, eroding your inner peace and fueling that persistent sense of unease. You may have avoided the external confrontation, but the internal battle rages on, a constant reminder of your own unexpressed truth. Consider the relationships in your life. Are they built on genuine connection, on the honest exchange of thoughts and feelings, even when those feelings are uncomfortable? Or are they carefully choreographed dances of unspoken needs and unmet expectations, where everyone plays a role to maintain a fragile sense of equilibrium? True connection requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires a certain degree of risk. The risk of being misunderstood, of being rejected, of not being liked. But without that risk, connection remains superficial and you remain hidden, even in the midst of others. The power you feel you lack is not an external force that has been withheld from you. It is your own inner force, waiting to be reclaimed from the prison of your own making, a prison built brick by brick with the mortar of fear and the bars of self-doubt. The lesson you were never taught was not how to inflict harm. It was how to wield your own inner strength with grace and intention, how to say no without apology, how to stand your ground without aggression, how to express your needs without guilt. This is not about becoming a different person. It is about peeling back the layers of learned behavior that have obscured your true self. It is about rediscovering the inherent power that resides within every human being, the power to define their own boundaries, to honor their own truth, and to move through the world with a quiet, unshakable sense of self-possession. The journey back to your own power begins with awareness, with a gentle, honest examination of the ways in which you have been diminishing yourself, silencing yourself, making yourself smaller. It begins with acknowledging the cost of this self-effacement, the subtle but persistent feeling of powerlessness that has become your unwelcome companion. And with that awareness, a seed of change can be planted. A quiet rebellion against the ingrained patterns, a gentle turning towards your own inner voice, a hesitant step towards reclaiming the dangerous, not in the sense of harm, but in the sense of your own untamed, authentic power. The path to reclaiming your dangerousness is not a sudden, dramatic transformation. It is a gradual unfolding, a series of small, intentional acts that chip away at the walls of your self-imposed limitations. It is about learning to trust the instincts you have long suppressed, to honor the feelings you have often dismissed, and to give voice to the truths you have held captive within. Think of a time when you felt that familiar tightening in your chest, that urge to speak up, to assert yourself, but you held back. What was the fear that stayed your tongue? Was it the fear of judgment, of rejection, of causing discomfort? Name that fear. Acknowledge its presence, because only by understanding what holds you back can you begin to dismantle its power. The first act of reclaiming your dangerousness might be something seemingly small. Saying no to a request that drains you without offering a lengthy explanation or apology. Expressing a differing opinion in a low-stakes conversation. Setting a small boundary with someone who habitually oversteps. These seemingly minor acts are powerful. They send a message to yourself and to the world that your needs matter, that your voice has value. Each time you honor your own truth, even in a small way, you strengthen the neural pathways that support assertive action. You begin to rewire your nervous system to understand that your power is not dangerous to others, but essential for your own well-being. This process will likely be met with resistance, both internal and external. The ingrained habits of people-pleasing and conflict avoidance are deeply rooted. You may feel a surge of anxiety when you begin to assert yourself. You may worry about how others will react. And some people, those who benefited from your former compliance, may indeed push back. But remember why you are doing this. You are not seeking to become aggressive or confrontational. You are seeking to reclaim your own agency, to live a life aligned with your own truth, to shed the burden of constant self-effacement. The discomfort you may feel in the short term is an investment in your long-term well-being and empowerment. As you continue on this path, you will begin to notice a shift in your inner landscape. The persistent hum of unease may begin to quiet. The weight in your chest may feel a little lighter. You may find a newfound sense of clarity about your own needs and desires. You will also begin to observe how the world responds to this emerging sense of self-possession. Some people will respect your boundaries. Others may be surprised or even resistant. But you will learn that you are no longer responsible for managing their reactions. Your responsibility is to honor your own truth. This is where the concept of clean power comes into play. It is not about dominance or manipulation. It is about a quiet, unwavering self-assurance that radiates from within. It is the understanding that your power does not need to be loud or aggressive to be effective. In fact, the most potent form of power is often the most understated. It is the ability to stand your ground with calm conviction, knowing your worth, and refusing to be moved by external pressures that do not align with your values. Learning to be dangerous in this way involves cultivating your emotional resilience. It means allowing yourself to feel the full spectrum of your emotions, even the uncomfortable ones like anger and frustration, without allowing them to control your actions. It means developing the capacity to process these emotions in a healthy way and to use them as fuel for setting boundaries and advocating for yourself. It also involves cultivating your mental strength. This includes challenging your limiting beliefs, questioning the ingrained narratives that have kept you small, and consciously choosing empowering thoughts that support your growth. It means developing a strong sense of self-awareness, understanding your triggers and your patterns of behavior, and making conscious choices to break free from those that no longer serve you. And finally, it involves cultivating your physical presence. This doesn't necessarily mean becoming a bodybuilder or a martial arts expert, though those can be empowering. It means inhabiting your body fully, moving with confidence, and taking up space in the world without apology. There is a powerful connection between your physical and your mental state, and taking care of your physical well-being can significantly enhance your sense of inner power. The journey of learning to be dangerous is a journey of self-discovery, of reclaiming the parts of yourself that have been hidden or suppressed. It is a journey of empowerment, of stepping into your own authority, and of creating a life that is truly aligned with your authentic self. And it is a journey that ultimately leads not to harm, but to a deeper sense of peace, freedom, and genuine connection.